this is, I don't even care what episode anymore of A Few Points from Perfect podcast. I'm Jason Workslot. You're, what are you today?
I'm going to be Mr. Dirt Perfect today.
Again, okay. Michelle's over here. And
I've been called a lot worse, sir, so I'll take it.
uh-huh. And we're going to go around the table and talk about who we've got here. And
Yeah, we got a full house again. So, next.
Officer Hoover.
I always want to say the one and only Officer Hoover.
There is only one.
At least that I know of.
I am Ed from Full Tilt Grading.
I am Brandon from Full Tilt Grading.
And I'll say the one and only Aaron Boone, man behind the scenes.
Nice hat, Aaron.
Yeah, that is a nice hat.
Oh, wow.
Look at this, guys.
That's nice.
I seen this truck out here, had a full tilt grading decal on the door. I was like, hey, I like that truck. I got to give me something.
You opened the door and went in the goodie bag.
And this explains why Brendan's not wearing a hat.
And he's got a little mud on his pants from you pushing him down and taking his hat.
So anyways, in this episode, we got Ed and Brandon have traveled in. We got a little YouTube thing going on here in Derby again. So we'll start off by kind of learning a little bit about you guys and well, how'd you get started in business? How'd you end up on YouTube? You guys can go back as far as you want to. Probably Ed, start with you. You started off with your dad and kind of transitioned into your own thing.
He started in business in 1969, and I was born in 70. And from the time I was old enough to walk, really, I've been going with my dad in a dump truck. At like 3 years old, had a little steering wheel on my car seat in the dump truck, and I'd go to work with him every day.
Now, Longer Wade tells the same story, and he always says, well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, I loved going to work with him. It was great. I mean, by the time lunchtime would roll around, I'd have both our lunches eaten that my mom would pack. I mean, occasionally we'd stop for Dunkin' Donuts, and I'd have all those eaten by the time we'd get home, you know. So I was a little porker as a kid. But, yeah, so then, you know, every summer vacation, every break or whatever, I would work with my dad.
Now, are you an only child, or do you
No, I have an older sister and a younger sister, which both have 2 kids each, and I don't have any.
So you're the only boy out of the family then. So
yeah.
you're the one that showed the most interest in the business.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, I just, I mean, there was times where I was like, oh man, I got to go to work. But my dad always said, if I had a son, and I will not raise a son that does not know a trade. This is the trade that I know. So this is a trade you're going to learn, whether you like it or not. So, you know, there was times growing up that I didn't really like it, but then when I got a little older, I really enjoyed it and decided to, you know, when I graduated, started working with them full time, and we actually bought 2 new pieces of equipment. The first 2 new pieces of equipment we ever bought the year I graduated, and there was a 655 loader and a 410C backhoe, 4-wheel drive.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, what was the primary type of work you guys did? Like, what was
A lot of home builder type work and homeowner work, where, you know, French drains, septic systems. That's why I will not put a septic system in again in my life. I put so many in. I can't stand septic systems, new or used. But yeah, we did that stuff, and then as we grew, we got into like doing full development work and then site work, where we go in raw land, you know, and do all the pipe work, all the dirt work, the whole 9 yards. So, but and then the housing market crashed in 2006. I went to work for a company. At first, this is a subcontractor, and my dad actually had a heart attack at that time. So doctors told him he needed to, you know, take a little time out for a year. Mm-hmm. And then I went to work for another contractor for a year. Knew that I was not cut out to be an employee because I did not like to ask permission to get a tire fixed. Right. You know, I tires flat, you're going to get it fixed.
From a business owner's standpoint, it's so frustrating because you see all the wasted time and effort that goes into making that decision.
Yeah.
But then the flip side of it is you got to have a channel to make that decision, and it's just...
You do, but it seems like everybody's afraid to make a decision and spend a penny. You know, they're too worried about the nickel.
Spend $100 to protect a penny.
Exactly.
Yeah, tripping over dollars, picking up pennies.
Yeah. I mean, I would have a full crew standing on the job waiting for an answer on whether or not we could get a new tire. and that's not productive.
So just to recap, your dad had some health issues.
Yep.
The economy was kind of going downhill. So that's what you that was the first time you kind of ventured off from the family business and started started doing anything outside of the family stuff.
Yeah, I after I guess it was like 12 months, I gave him a 2 weeks notice, the January 2nd, and the guy said to me, he's like, "Are you crazy? You could just ride out the winter here, your salary." And I said, "That's not how I was raised. That's not who I am. I'm leaving." And I had bid 3 jobs for that company because I ran the excavation for that company. I bid 3 jobs for that company, and we ended up getting 2 of them. And the guy called me up. He's like, "Look, would you come back and do these jobs?" I said, "Absolutely. I'll work through the winter, but I'm not going to sweep floors in the shop just to burn up money."
Right.
So and then come April, I left and went out on my own as full tilt grading.
Mm-hmm. So that was April of 2008.
8. Yep, April 2008. I went on my own. I bought my first mini excavator, a 303.5 CCR, and I had a bulldozer and a backhoe, and I was going to try and just subcontract myself out to larger companies, which I had done with my dad in the past. The economy was so bad that nobody really needed me at that time. So the mini excavator was just kind of a way for me to do odd things, and get
So
some work.
I guess my question was, whenever you took off down the full tilt grading route, you really didn't have a direction you wanted to go. You were just kind of whatever the work showed up.
Yep.
See, I can relate to that a lot because I started my business in 2008. I wanted to take off down the excavating route, and the work wasn't there, and that's how I ended up doing the construction route. It was just you kind of did what you had to do to make the ends meet.
Exactly. I knew I was capable and willing, and I just, figured I'm just gonna do it, and that's what you have to do. Anybody that wants to start a business, I mean, if you're capable and you're willing to work hard, you're gonna make it. You just gotta. I can remember sitting down, not having any work, and opening up my job book, and in the back of my job book, I just wrote down a list of names of people that I could potentially call and see if they had any work. So I went down that list, and I made those phone calls to each of those people I had written down. And the one guy, Bachman Paving and Excavating, called me. I just got done my last job that I have. It was a small job, and I came home, sat down out back. I said to my wife, I'm like, "Well, that's it." It was August. I'm like, "I have nothing else to do. I've got payments. I've got nothing else to do." I put these phone calls out because I saw this coming. And that day, Fritz Bachman called me up, and he said, "Hey," he's like, "my son's told me that you called and you're looking for some work." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Can you have your dozer in New Britain tomorrow morning?" I said, "Yes, I can." I called my dad up. We moved my dozer because he could at least do that at the time.
Now, is your dad still doing work?
Yeah, he's 74 and works every day. In fact, this last
No,
snowstorm,
I'm talking about at this time, back whenever you were getting started. He was still doing his own.
he was coming back into it, but I mean,
He was winding down. So he didn't view, you guys didn't view each other as competition.
No,
there was
not at all.
no
not at all.
animosity there.
In fact, he had some jobs at the time where I'd go and help him, and he'd come
I guess
help me.
I guess the ultimate question that I'm going to ask, because I don't fully understand, I'm sure it makes sense to you, is why didn't you take over his company versus starting your own
Because
company?
I did not want to. We had a lot of employees when I was with my dad, and that didn't work for me. I'm too hands-on. If I'm going to do the job and tell you it's done right, I'm going to know because I did the job.
Right.
And so employees don't work for me. I'm too controlling, and Brandon will tell you that.
I'll chime in there. Ed is one of the most meticulous people you ever
Yeah.
meet.
It is not right for the customer until it's right for me.
Right.
You could say to me all day long, "Mike, that's good enough. I'm happy with that." If I'm not happy with it, I'm going to keep going on my dime.
I get that. I respect that.
I mean,
yeah.
that's just how I am. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for me. And I mean, that may sound crazy to most people, but I feel my work. If it's not right, and Brandon can contest to this, I've made him tear a lot of stuff apart because it was not to my liking.
We can just call you Captain Kleeman for right now.
and I do it on my dime, not on the customer's dime.
Well, Ed and I are complete opposite when it comes to that. I'm messy. Ed's a clean
Yeah.
freak.
Yeah. But you know
said-
that there's some truth to that old opposites attract
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
scenario, and it's good because you kind of get both sides of it. It
Yeah.
forces you guys to find a happy medium. I'm sure I mean, I know you've got a lot more experience than you own the company, but I'm sure you've picked up some stuff from Brandon. That,
Absolutely.
You
I
know,
mean, he's a heck of a good mechanic. I mean, I
yeah,
can't do
but
half of the things. he
You
does.
know, I'm not quite as old as you, so I don't want to throw myself completely into
Yeah,
that thing.
yeah.
But I've got guys that come to work for me that are older and younger than me, and I never look at their age. There's always something to be gathered. A guy shows up on a job site, he can have a whole new perspective on everything you got going on, and I spend a lot of time studying people. Like how's he thinking? I'll see Matt pushing dirt, and I'm like, what's he gonna do when he gets to that corner? Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's
Yep.
see how he goes about this.
Yep.
Or digging, like, where's he going to put that dirt? Is it going to be in the way? Is he thinking far enough ahead to
Yeah.
do that? And sometimes they'll surprise you.
Yeah.
That you just get in such a pattern of doing stuff all the time that you start taking stuff for granted. So,
Another thing I like to say, like Ed before me and like beginning of me was very like frowned upon young people.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. I did not give young people the time of day.
And then he met me, and now to this day, like people that are young
I give them more of a shot.
and people like young people are very receptive to Ed. Like we get guys to help us, young guys listen to whatever Ed says.
Yeah.
And before it wasn't like that. Ed had a lot of problems with that. Because of me, I think Ed understands how young people think.
yeah, and it's easy to stereotype that whole group or generation
Yeah.
too unfairly because they're not all the same.
Well, I mean, but a guy like Brandon is also one in a million.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't find a guy like this.
Don't worry, we as young people stereotype you old folks.
Yeah, we do. Gray hair.
I'm not for sure if I like this being in the old folks category.
Well, I mean,
I'm on the line. I'm in between.
yeah, right. I mean,
Borderline.
I still consider myself, a young guy at
I
that
think
age.
back now, thinking I've been in business, 15, 16 years, and I'm like, I remember people used to be bragging about that, and I'm like, wow, they made it. I'm like, I'm still not sure if I made it or not.
I kind of miss the days when I was in my 20s when people would come out on the job and be like amazed
Yeah,
by
who's-
what I did.
Yeah.
And now if we don't do it,
Yeah,
it's
they're
like-
they just expect it. Yeah. No, I know. Me and Josh were having that conversation one day that, we were 23, 24, 25 years old building these $1 million homes, and people were just flabbergasted by it. Now here we are, I'm almost 40 doing the same thing. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah, we know.
yeah,
Just
you
go
better be
do
able to do it.
Well, when we left, we went through a company for a while. People were always impressed by what I could do over Ed, because of my age.
Yeah, yeah, he expected it from me.
Yeah.
So you're on this full tilt grading kick now. I mean, I know you talked about how you didn't really buy into your dad's company or take that over because of the structure and the employees.
Right. I wanted to be a sole proprietor.
So is Brandon the only employee you've ever had?
He's not an employee. He is a subcontractor.
Subcontractor?
Yep. He's a subcontractor, 100%.
Now I play
and
that
does his
game a
own
little
work.
bit too, but you guys have a boss-employee relationship,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah. I mean, I view him more as a partner.
Right.
But I just have final say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Brandon is totally invested. If we don't have work a day, he's still at the shop. He's still, working for the greater good of the next day or the next job. You know what I mean? We go and load materials, and he's doing that on his time. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to come, but he comes because it's going to make his job the next day
That much
more
easier.
productive.
I would say
you know?
less of not so much boss, like, I would say more like respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because see, I've had that struggle. Whenever I had my construction business, we had multiple employees. Up to 10 or 15 at a time.
Right.
And now with like man behind the scenes and Captain Kleeman and even Matt, these guys that work for me, I'm kind of in the same boat. They're all basically subcontractors that work part time when they can. They've all got other stuff that depend on an income, but I'm fortunate enough to be able to use them from time
Right.
to time. And from my side of stuff, the responsibility level goes way down. You know what I mean? In the management level, it's a lot easier to manage one good person than it is. You can manage one good person and almost get the same out of them as you can 5.
Yeah.
Well, I remember as a young person, I mean, you got to remember, I had a head start on most people. At 12 years old, my dad was dropping a backhoe off and saying, I need this electric main dug. I'll be back at the end of the day. At 12 years old. And 16 years old, I was digging house foundations on my own. My dad wasn't around. He'd come back at the end of the day and we'd check it with the transit and see if I was right. But then I had all these employees when I got in my 20s that, I would basically just bounce around and fill holes.
Yeah, that's a good point I
You know?
wanted to bring up because you described what I was getting ready to say almost to a T. Is whenever I grew and had all these employees, at this point you can't do the job, and sometimes not to disgrace anybody, but it takes 2 or 3 of you to replace you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then none of your time becomes billable.
Yep.
And that's what I always caution people when they want to scale a company. It's like that first jump is so big because you got to get to like 15 or 20 employees to where you can really truly be managing and have a few key people
And
underneath
that's
you.
where we were,
And
but it didn't work.
you know, we tried to make that jump a few times in the construction business, and honestly, we were never successful.
Yeah. Well, and I think it takes a certain type of person to be able to have and manage a large company.
Yeah.
You can't worry about every little thing.
You got to put people in place you trust to do it.
I just take everything on the chin, you know. It bothers me so much that, you know, I think that's why my dad had a heart attack, because guy always ate healthy, never smoked, never drank, and doctors are like, well, stress, you know.
And, you know, I always make and Jason knows a little bit about this. I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I've got a lot of experience running some very large jobs, you know, 500-600 employees at a time. And the Mike Simon or Dirt Perfect on those jobs versus what you guys see on YouTube is 2 totally different people.
Well, if anybody wants to see how Mike can be in that mode, go watch his videos on taking down that clay pipe factory.
Oh, yeah.
Because you will not see a joking around, lighthearted man on those videos. You will see the serious Mike Simon on those videos.
I get called out on that a lot. You know, I'm not taking stuff serious to do this, that, and the other. And people got to remember, I choose to film what I film.
Right.
And a lot of the serious stuff, I don't give a crap about YouTube. I give a crap about my crew and my equipment and what's going on.
Yes.
And YouTube's the farthest thing from my mind at that point.
Exactly.
And that's why I try to get it on there as part of the channel. And that video is probably a good example. I was not going to film that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only one I've seen of your videos that you have truly been, like, I mean, and you had to be. There was no choice. You were focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had no desire to film that, not because it wasn't a cool video. It's that wasn't my priority that day. My priority was to get that building on the ground safe and make sure everybody else was safe doing it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want the distraction of a camera.
Yeah.
And Aaron and Matt were on the job, and they were just insistent we filmed it. And they actually we worked there till almost noon before we filmed the first clip. And the only reason I agreed to film any of that is the first 2 pieces come down as planned, as predicted.
Like the rest of them. It just went like
you know, and I'm like, I didn't feel comfortable by no stretch of the imagination, but I knew we had a plan. I knew we had a system. I knew we could predict what this deal was going to do.
And it seemed to one went like the same as the other.
And they were secretly filming behind my back the whole time, which is why there's video of the whole thing.
We talked to Aaron a lot about this yesterday. You know, how like that was serious Mike on that job.
Yeah,
Right there is what it's hard to find that balance, in my opinion.
And that's why I've been on several stadium jobs since I've been doing the channel. And I've not filmed a single one of them, and that's why, because it is.
Yeah.
For one, I'll be the first to admit it. I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, it is black and white. It is black and white. Bam, bam, bam. You say you're going to do this, by golly, you better hold up to it.
Yep.
I don't know if I'd go that extreme. I don't, because generally, in my opinion, an asshole doesn't have a purpose.
Plan.
You are meticulous in what you want out of people because they need to do this for the whole crew to succeed.
Right.
And you're just holding someone to a standard that I think is being chipped away at.
Yeah.
I really think in this type of work, sometimes you got to put feelings aside.
Yeah.
You do.
You know,
You
just got to.
You do.
Yeah.
You know, some things, like, Ed and I say things sometimes to each other that we probably shouldn't say out of anger. But at the end of the day, man,
It's
you just
frustration.
gotta, you know, talk it out and come to a conclusion. You know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that's why I can't really have employees, and I don't play well with others, I guess, because I would spend all my nights going and putting a floor on a basement, or I would go and regrade a house because the swales weren't properly graded.
Not the way you would have done it.
Yeah, and I knew that, like, my dad was going to put that upon me because I was in charge.
Right.
You know, even as a young person, I was in charge.
You understood the responsibility of that position.
Yes, exactly. And I knew what he expected. So, you know, I'd be out there till 8 o'clock at night working. You know, I mean, 15 hours a day was a normal day.
Right.
6 days a week, and Sundays I'd help my dad bid and do paperwork. I mean, and it just, at 29, I think it was like 29 years old, I had a nervous breakdown. I couldn't take the pressure of the customers, the employees, and the business anymore.
All the same.
You know, it just got to be too much.
I get that. I respect that. I never actually had a nervous breakdown, but I understand the pressures of all that coming together, and it's hard. If somebody's not experienced that, it's almost impossible to describe because,
Yeah.
you know, everybody always sees one side of that, the customer side or the business side or the employee side, but you got all three sides you got to marry together there. I want to back up and mention one thing real quick. I know we've mentioned the stadium seat business multiple times in my career in that spanned 16, 17 years now. That's something we should probably elaborate on at some point, maybe. I don't know if that's a podcast that anybody wants to hear.
Yeah, I think we're getting to that for sure. One way
Yeah,
or another, it's coming.
I've worked in 15 major stadiums, probably taken out
I think
close
that's really, Aaron took us by a place
to
yesterday.
yeah, I took out close to
It
probably,
is nothing less than amazing.
and-
what
and
that
which
site
is,
looks
which
like.
is crazy because I have done some big jobs while I've been doing YouTube, and I have not filmed the first 2 seconds on it.
Junior filmed one of them.
Junior SOT Metalworks filmed some brief
Texas.
stuff on the Texas Ranger Stadium job.
Yeah.
I had the best intentions of studying or filming there, but I showed up on the job and just went into absolute. I showed up on the job a day late. They set the job up. First thing I walked in, everything's wrong, and I just
Right, went into
it's
a mode.
I mean, even if Dale was sitting here, which is the owner of the company, I'm like, you're outside. I got to just leave. You know, it's like, he's trying to argue with me. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stories that come from that business too that should be told at some point.
Yeah, I'm famous in St. Louis for not the right reasons.
Yeah. Evidently, he doesn't know many famous people by face.
I get on these, I get on these stadium jobs, and the owner of the Chicago Cubs comes up and talks to me, and I told him he's parked in the wrong damn spot. You got to move,
need
buddy.
to move.
And the security guard's looking at me like I'm an idiot, and which I was an idiot. He's like, he owns the parking lot, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, he's still not parked. I mean, I don't care if he owns the parking
in
lot.
my
He told
way.
me I'm supposed to put seats there, and he's in my way. It's
Help him move.
Right.
now,
right.
in his defense, he's a super nice guy.
Yeah,
he did move.
yeah.
Yeah, he did move, and he said sorry, and then I figured out who he was, and I'm like, I'm sorry. And he's like, no, man, I get it. I'm
Yeah,
like, see,
right.
you can get along.
People respect that, though. I mean, you're there to do a job, and you're going to get it done.
But yeah, those stories could go on for weeks. Some of the shenanigans and some of this, I look back on it, and it is mind-boggling. Some of these stadiums and jobs we've done.
But the commenters will let us know if they want to know that. 'cause
Yeah,
this is the
yeah,
Full
yeah.
Tilt
It's
podcast.
this is a Full Tilt podcast. So if you guys want to know anything about S&S seating and the stadiums I've worked in and some of the things I've done and seen, we'll have to
Well, I would like to know. I would like to hear
comment below it.
that. I will make sure I put a comment.
But anyways, back to Ed and the crew. So Brandon comes along in the mix. So up until Brandon comes along, you're pretty much just doing your own thing by yourself.
Worked on. Well, I ended up getting into the for the first. I worked for Bachman with my dozer. Ended up being 6 months worth of work. Which, man, thank you Fritz Bachman and his boys for that. And then after that, I got a phone call from a company that did work at Walmart's for storm management work. Storm drain management work. So I would bid all my jobs. First time I really used a computer, because I didn't learn how to use computers in school, was my wife showed me how to turn it on and off and to get these emails. And this company would email me pictures of inlet boxes or retention basins or whatever.
What year is this?
This is in 2009.
So the picture quality that you were getting
Oh,
on
it
a
was
2009 computer
Yeah.
is basically, that looks like a building.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd get pictures of inlets like through a bicycle safe crate, which
Yeah.
you can appreciate that. And I had to give a price to rebuild it, and then I'd go on Google Earth, and I'd zoom in and where this is in the parking lot or whatever. And I would bid these jobs, and with my mini excavator, and I had a dump trailer and my 2008 utility body, I would go out and I'd fix it. I could do one inlet a day, because I had to travel to do that.
Right.
So I got comfortable with the whole traveling. In the meantime, a friend of mine had been calling me for the last 7 years wanting me to do this work on cell towers. And I was like, why would I want to travel when I can work 15 minutes from my house on these big developments? So finally he calls me in February of that next year, and the Walmart stuff had dried up because that company lost the contract. And he's like, hey, would you be able to come down and run a machine in Mays Landing, New Jersey to dig in some grounding for a cell tower? And I said, sure. I said, but as luck would have it, I have my own mini excavator now. And he's like, well, even better yet. He's like, I don't have to rent one. He's like, bring your machine. So I went down, did that work. One thing led to another. And before you knew it, 90% of my work was doing digging for this cell tower company. And they would always send the guys out to do the handwork. Then after I was comfortable with it, after a year or so, they would just send me a helper, and I'm running the job. And then next thing you know, they wanted me to provide my own help. And so I did, a couple buddies of mine, and couldn't ever really find the right fit because I work, that's how I got the name Full Tilt. I did not give myself that name. People always said, here comes Full Tilt, because I work fast. If it's not fast, I don't like it. Like your 304, I would probably love that machine, because you cannot build a machine fast enough for me. The faster, the better. When I run a dozer, it's full out. When I run anything, I go as fast as it can possibly go to get it done. When I work in the cell towers, I got to kind of throttle it down a little bit because it can get really expensive really quick. So then Brandon comes along, dating my niece, and he was working. He was a foreman of a mowing crew, and wanted to do better. Always willing to help me unload and load when I came back to the shop if he was there with my niece at the pool or whatever. And he was not the type of guy that just would sit around. Right. As soon as I pull in the driveway, he was out there helping. So I'll let Brandon take it.
How old were you at this time, Brandon?
I'm 20, 21.
Yeah.
And the company I worked for before was actually Ed's brother-in-law.
Yeah.
You know, and then I remember sitting there, and remember the day Ed was like, I need more money, you know?
Yeah.
And Ed's like, listen, go in there and ask for a raise. If he doesn't give it to you, tell him he quit.
Yeah.
And this is to your brother-in-law?
Yeah.
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 So literally,
Well, I mean, I knew with every job, Mike, you've been around long enough. You know what the maximum pay is for that task. And I told him, I'm like, what are you doing? He told me what he was doing. I told him, this is the maximum pay for that task. I said, go ask for that money. If you're not worth it to that guy, tell him he quit. Simple as that. Mm-hmm. You're either worth it or you're not.
Right.
You know?
So that's exactly what I did. Quit with my 2 weeks notice in.
Well, he gave you the money. He
did.
gave you the money.
He did give me the money.
And then he quit anyway.
Yeah, I quit anyway. He did give me the raise, and then I remember I fired a guy.
Yeah.
And then my girlfriend, I was literally quit that day. Fired a guy, the boss flipped out on me, and I called my girlfriend. I'm like, hey, come pick me up. And Zach got in her car, and she took me back to the
Is this
shop.
your boss's daughter?
No, that's,
No. Different brother-in-law.
Different brother.
Yeah.
Okay, different
Yeah.
brother-in-law. Okay.
That would have been his
Yeah, I know. It's her uncle, though. It's her uncle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Your dad's a beep.
yeah, there's a lot of, like, family drama involved.
Yeah.
You know? And then, fast forward a couple years, I'm still working with Ed, you know, and Ed tells me, you know, go out and get your own insurance. Ed offered to pay for it.
So whenever you quit mowing grass, that's when you went to work for Ed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ed offered to pay everything up front, and I was like, no, I emptied my bank account, man.
He had $800 in his savings account, and I think his insurance was $805.
Really?
And I said, I will front you this money and you can work it off. He's like, nope, I want to do it on my own. Okay.
Respect that.
So he
And I
did
had
it.
a little piece of junk Ford Ranger, and I gotta be honest,
Yeah.
that came from nothing, man.
Yeah, he did.
Like,
He
nothing.
did. Yeah.
And so anyway, fast. Just sidetracked. What was I just saying?
Well, you got your insurance paid, $805.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, so I do that, and then a couple years later, me and her break up for whatever reason, you know, and.
Youth.
Honestly, it helped Ed and I get really close. You know, I grew up
Yeah.
I wasn't close to my dad.
Right.
Ed and I really just got close, I mean, pretty much right away, you know, and really just kind of saw the world through the same eyes, you know, really
Same
same
vision, yeah.
opinions. So really just
Would
kind
you
of,
see Brandon as a younger version of yourself?
Yeah, he just didn't have the head start that I did.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
So it's frustrating for me sometimes, like if he can't perform, and he does, he operates equipment, but he will not film himself.
Right.
Like on the jobs, he'll run the equipment, but he he's like, he doesn't want to put that up, because he sees what I do, and he's not to that level, so therefore he doesn't want to.
It don't stop Captain Cleaner.
But he put up a video of himself working, because he does his own work on the weekends. Almost every weekend he works, and he put up a video, and he showed the video to me, and he's like, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong." I said, "If you do not address these things, you are going to get slaughtered on YouTube by comments." And he's like, "You think so?" I'm like,
Hey,
"Yeah."
welcome to my world, Brandon. It's great.
So
I've never done a
I
whole
said,
lot yet.
"Here's what you need to do. You need to go on there, and in the beginning of the video, you need to talk about these things. Put it up front."
That's actually great advice.
And so he went on there and talked about it. Of course, he did it in the morning. He was tired. So it sounded like I just beat him over the head with a shovel. and I got killed on the comments.
Did he, Brandon?
No, he did. But I did
And I
really
was like-
put it all on him. Like, this guy's mean.
Yeah, he's like,
Blink once for yes. Blink
Ed
two.
watched this video before I put it up, and he wasn't very happy. And I mean, I got killed on the comments, because I was being mean, and we all have to start somewhere, and nobody understands that more than me.
Right.
But at the same time, Mike, if you saw me loading a truck sitting on the ground and I'm taking material off of a pile and putting it on the truck, you might say to me, "Ed, what do you think about maybe crawling up on top of that pile and working the pile into itself and loading the truck more productively rather than spinning 180
Better
degrees?"
visibility, less cycle times.
Yes,
the whole
exactly.
package.
And that's all I said, but people lit me up. They're like, "Oh, maybe Ed needs to go buy a 180 excavator," or,
Well, you deserve it.
Yeah.
Don't everybody love spending your money?
Yeah. But you know what? I got to say, I mean, Brandon knows it. There's nobody that has his back more than me.
Right.
I mean, I
Well,
would
people-
do anything for him.
Yeah, and people don't always understand the dynamic of the relationship either. They like to think they do, and some people do, but it's not always because that's hard to portray.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to watch a channel for a long time to really see the true dynamic and relationship. You can't get that from just one video.
No. But that was the only one he really put up of his own work, and it just.
Well, I was going to bring that up. I mean, we see Ed operating a lot, and from knowing you guys from a while, I know Brandon's no slouch.
Right,
But
right.
sometimes it's good to see a guy like Brandon operating because he's more relatable. There's more people on his level than there is your level. You know what I mean? So how does Brandon get from here to there? That's good
Yeah.
content.
Well, I mean, when he first bought it, he bought a machine and of his own, because I said that's the only way. I'm like, you want to make more money, you got to take that leap. Risk, reward.
Yeah.
You have more risk, you're going to have more reward. So he would on weekends he'd be out there with orange cones set up in the parking lot, and I'd say, make that boom go through that cone pattern as fast as you can. Start slow, and as you control it. And I'm telling you right now, as crazy as that may sound,
It helped.
that made him 100% better operator. Like, it went to the point where from doing that, like, I would always be worried if he was loading or unloading something off the truck with the excavator, because he just didn't have that control.
Right.
Now he could just boom, he'd set it right on top of your head
Yeah.
because he got
And
familiar
there's
with that.
one thing about controlling the excavator, but then there's also another thing of what your instinct's going to do whenever you get off balance or have an oh
Yeah.
crap moment.
Yes,
that's when
exactly.
That's when drills
Yeah.
like that and stuff really pay off.
Yes, being able to react to the machine. Yeah,
Now, I would say, I'm a young guy, but I'm not saying I've had a silver spoon, but I've had it easier than most because of Ed. I've met a lot of people through Ed that I'm surrounded by good people.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
If you
fortunate for
surround
that.
yourself with good people, there's going to be a good outcome. But you've got to let yourself open to absorbing that. Some people, they don't know they have a good opportunity. Like people don't understand. They're always like, "Oh yeah, well, because of Ed, you make all this money and you got all this opportunity." No, all
No, you
I
work
gave
hard.
him was an opportunity.
He took advantage of
He
it.
took
Many
advantage
people
of
that know me, like growing up, man, because like I said, I didn't have a lot as a kid. It's blame Ed. Only reason you have is because of Ed, because of Mallory's uncle.
Yeah, yeah.
And even her, she's like, we've been out with friends, and she's like, you guys don't have a clue. You guys couldn't work with my uncle. There's
Yeah.
no chance.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't want to be judgmental to anybody, but a lot of that goes back to jealousy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's
it is.
where a lot of that's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer. If you have a good opportunity, It's up to you to take
I
care.
got
take
what
that
I
opportunity.
got because I bust my butt on
Yeah.
a daily basis. to
It's
get it.
not going to be easy. Nobody's going to go, here you go. I mean,
I'm super jealous of him because he gets to work with man behind the scenes every day.
I'll
That's
tell you
because I
what.
surround myself with good people and him.
Yeah.
Well, I was getting ready to ask Ed what he thought about, our relation versus him and Brandon's relation, because they are so much on the same page.
Brandon listens a lot better.
We're gonna have to.
Well,
put
you know what? With us, as much as I consider him one of my best friends, it's almost like I almost look at him like the son I never
There's
had.
a father-son
you know?
relationship there, for sure.
So I mean,
Which,
there-
and he gets the same thing from the other end because he's already stated that he didn't have a good father-son relationship growing up.
Yeah.
So it kind of fills a void from both
Yeah.
directions.
And that's definitely what it is, fact,
yeah. So it's I mean, with you guys, you're close enough in age that and sometimes that's harder. You know what I mean? Where he'll kind of let up on the throttle a little bit and listen, where you guys are kind of coming from the same place. So it's tougher, and that's why it was harder for me with some of my friends as being my extra help. Because we're buddies, you know, we're buddies. I don't have to do that, so it made it harder for me.
We've been good friends for what 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we got a weird relationship, but it's pretty mutual. I mean, we joke around and give each other a hard time and horse.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I respect him and what he does. I
Yeah.
think he respects me
He
and what
gets
I.
it back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's and even with Captain, I don't know, it's odd.
Yeah.
You know, I have no idea how to describe
I
it.
tell you, the luckiest people in the world are the people that can surround themselves with people like that.
Yeah.
You know, like your relationships with Jason and Aaron and Mike, Captain.
Well, we talk about this all the time. We'll go out on a job, tromp through the mud, be the most miserable conditions ever. Work there 8 hours, have a great time doing it. You know, it sucks. It's
Yeah,
work, but
yeah.
we still enjoy it. And then we'll turn around and come back here to the shop and work another 8 hours. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
Laugh the whole time.
yeah. Before you know it, it's midnight, and we got 3 videos filmed. You know?
Yeah, right.
I think that's the key to life, though, finding what you want to do.
Yeah.
Now, like Ed, here's what happens in my boat though, because I ain't an operator. I'm just now getting into it.
Right.
You know, like I love it. I really
Well,
enjoy
and
it.
therefore you will be good
Yeah.
at it because you love it.
But I come from
And he's got a
a
good
family that's all operators.
Right.
You know, my dad, all the way
Yeah.
back to my uncles, my grandpa, they're all operators. So it's unfair for me is I get Michael around my dad, then I'm getting picked on.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not fair.
Easy,
right,
easy
Ed?
pickings.
Well,
I
it
know
makes
what
for a
it
good
feels like.
video.
But now I'm getting Jason, so it's going to
Yeah,
be a
yeah.
lot
I know
more
what it feels like to
interesting.
be picked on.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys had this working relationship now?
6 years now. Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah, and 2 years ago, our work for our biggest customer dried up, and my Caterpillar salesman said to me, "Hey, this Turnpike job's going to be starting not 10 minutes from where we live, and they're looking for operators." And I said to Brandon, I'm like, "Hey, we don't have anything. We got nothing." I went to Pittsburgh and bid a job, and we were supposed to be one of 3 bidders, and there ended up being 30 people there. So I'm like, we were hanging our hat on that for our season. It was a big new site build. And I went to him, I said, "Look," I said, Marty, our salesman, Marty Lindmeyer, greatest cat salesman ever. He came to us and said, "Hey, they're looking for operators. I can get you a meeting." I went and had lunch with the owner of this company, and he's like, "When can you start? I'd like you to be a superintendent." And I said, "I just want to be an operator.
Yeah.
I've been down the in-charge road. Don't want to do it." So set me up with his field guys. I had an interview. Again, they wanted me as a superintendent. Nope. They wanted me to be a foreman. Nope. I want to be an operator. I said, "The only way I'm coming is if you bring Brandon on too." They're like, "Okay." They're like, "What can you do?" I said, "He can do anything you need him to do." They're like, "All right, he's hired too." So we went in there, and I mean, we made exceptional good money. And it was crazy. People said to us, "Why would you be going to there? It's only a 3-year job. What are you going to do after 3 years?" Let me tell you something.
Retire.
Anybody that is thinking beyond 3 years, God bless you.
Could be dead.
Yeah, you could be dead. Anything can happen in 3 years. I have worked for 12 years not knowing what I'm going to do beyond 2 weeks. And I managed to keep going because I'm willing to do anything. and keep going and know that I have the talent.
This
go.
always brings up a conversation I have all the time, that people always assume since you're self-employed, you're rich.
Oh yeah.
And I've always said there is no doubt in my mind I can make more money working for somebody else than I do myself.
Absolutely. If I told you what I made in 50 weeks there, you would say, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why would you ever quit that job?
It's not the culture that makes you happy, though.
No. I mean, Brandon was miserable there. I mean, he was angry and yelling at people every day because he was running a concrete crew, and people just weren't getting it done, and they're working stupid, and I do not work stupid.
And for
I
me,
will
it
not
really
work
angered me because I'm 25 years old.
Yeah.
Telling a 50-year-old guy what to do.
stupid.
And it's-
And they don't want to do it.
And they should know better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's a whole nother conversation.
But they don't.
Yeah, but
Whole nother
so
conversation.
we left there and came back to doing the cell tower work when that picked up. But we wanted to give that company a year,
Right.
because it's only fair. You know,
Yeah.
you don't.
You're a man of your commitment.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I felt like a year was a fair, time.
So you're back doing the cell phone stuff again now. Somewhere in the midst of all this, like one of you guys had this brainstorm idea to start a YouTube channel.
Well, I'll talk about the YouTube
Yeah.
thing. So I'm always, lately, since I've had some health issues about a year ago, I've been off that kick for a while now. But I was trying to get Ed to get employees, grow.
Yeah.
You know? And I really wanted to do something else, like add to the mix. So we were out of town watching YouTube videos, and I called Ed. I'm like, if you don't want to do that, let's do where you do YouTube. Yeah. So that's exactly how it got started.
Yeah.
And then in the beginning, it was definitely slow. I was with another girl, it was kind of, Ed wasn't fully invested in it.
Yeah.
It wasn't all in. Ed still did all the comments. I did all the editing, the filming. Ed does some of the filming as well. That's how it happened.
Yeah, if you're gonna do YouTube, I highly recommend having somebody to do it with you, because I'll tell you, I don't know how you do it on your own. Each one of you do it on your own, because to film, edit, and comment it's a big job. It's
One of
a
the
big job.
best things that ever happened, for our channel, as far as when Ed met you guys, Ed was like, in.
Yeah, because it was real.
That's whenever he finally got fully invested.
He
Yeah.
was like, before he was kind of like, this is kind of.
Yeah,
I know,
yeah.
but then
I get it's hard for me even to this day. If Brandon comes up and wants to smack GoPro on the boom of the excavator, and I have to stop for a tenth of a second, it aggravates me, even now.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll even say to him now, I'm like, get out of the way, or you better use this clip. You're stopping me.
Yeah, now I'll stop. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You're not even use that clip. Who cares?
If I don't see this clip in 4 videos.
Yeah, right. But it still aggravates me because I have such a hard time, just because of my personality and who I am. I'm so into what I'm doing. It's so hard for me to wrap my head around the whole YouTube thing while I'm working. But yet, at the end of the day, I'm like, did you get good footage today? You know what I mean? When we're all done.
That's the point I was going to bring up. Is that in the heat of the moment, I'm the same way. You don't appreciate the
Yeah.
time it took to get it. But then at the end of the day, you do appreciate the
Oh,
play.
yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, I thank him every day for taking the time, because he's got to get out of the ditch. He's moving the camera around, and he's working.
But
you know what I mean? It's
See,
hard.
I give Ed the benefit of the doubt because when take Ed out of the picture on a weekend job,
Yeah,
I can kill that. I'll crush that camera before I care about it.
and he's crushed 4.
You're almost
'Cause-
catching up with me.
Who's paying for these, Ed? Hopefully not
Well,
you.
we split them. I just bought the last one just because he bought the last 2, but he broke the last 2.
Yeah.
So
How many have you broken?
none.
Listen, YouTube's costing us money.
Yeah,
Laptops.
everybody thinks there's all this money in YouTube. Well, I'm here to tell you. Go buy 5 GoPros and
laptops.
two Apple MacBooks, and
Yeah.
tell me how much you're making.
And then decide start a podcast.
Yeah, right. All these fancy microphones. I've heard some numbers.
Is this a
and
list
it's
of
not
what
cheap.
not to do or how expensive YouTube is?
This was a genius idea.
Yeah, right. You're a
Hey, Mike,
genius.
I know it'll be fun.
Hey, Jason, before you move out here, can you set us up, buddy?
I'll sell you a whole bunch of stuff.
Right. Exactly. Trailer load, right?
So how long have you guys been doing YouTube now?
This June 18th will be our 2-year anniversary.
June 18th. So about a year and a half at the time we're
year and a half.
filming this.
Yep.
So what was your expectations going into YouTube? Like what were your goals or what were you hoping to get out of this?
We did not care about the money at all. Our main goal was to,
I mean, you didn't want to be rich and famous?
you know what? You know what I wanted more than anything? I wanted some equipment manufacturer to see what I could do with equipment and be like, that's the guy we want to put on our machine so that the world can see what can be done with it.
So here's the trick to this. You got to go to ICUE in Louisville, act like a complete idiot in the equipment manufacturer's booth, and they're like, hey, man, you want a new Traco for a while? Yes, sir.
I'll take it.
Nailed it.
That's really what we both agreed that we would, would make us feel like it was worthwhile more than anything. Because I'll tell you, there's nobody out there doing what we do with these small machines and filming it anyway.
Right.
It's
Now, for me, I feel like the YouTube, like, now, I feel like in the long run for me, I wanted to hopefully help younger people because, man, where we live, I don't know about here, everybody frowns upon blue-collar work.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
very
that's-
looked
that's
down
a- that's
upon.
a very hot button topic.
Yeah.
And, like, man, I mean, like, everybody I know that went to college, look what they have and look what I have. That's the way I look at it. And see, I think it's almost sad because I grew up, teachers very, like, you're never going to have anything as a kid. So I kind of walk around with a chip on my shoulder. So for me, that's kind of in the long run. I'm hoping that people see YouTube and know that, like,
you can do it.
you can do it.
You can
Yeah.
make a good living
Yes.
doing what we do.
Yeah.
Yes,
Good
you
one.
can.
Yeah.
You don't say that too loud.
Yeah.
A lot of competition.
And you don't even necessarily have to be doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
The jobs we had on the Turnpike, people would kill for those jobs.
Yep.
I don't understand how people don't know what like a good operator gets paid.
Yeah.
Because that number flabbergasts a lot of people.
Yep.
Oh.
Not even a good operator. Any good skilled pipe fitter or
Yeah,
welder
yeah.
or
Yeah.
I was just
machinist or-
going
The
or-
flaggers
yes.
on that job.
Yeah.
If I told you what they made,
Oh, I know.
oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's
So
amazing.
I think that in the long run, I think I would, like, that's what I like. Hopefully, young people see me because I don't see a lot of young people out on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
There's not
the
too
only
many.
young people I know.
Yeah.
It's like that's doing anything like besides Ken White.
Yeah. 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 He's the only one I know.
And I just pretend anyway. So.
Yeah. It's all smoke and mirrors.
So you guys have been doing YouTube for a year and a half now. I mean, so from your expectations in the beginning to where you're at now, like, is it what you thought it was going to be? How have they changed? What's the surprises? What's the negatives, the positives? Like, what have you taken away from it in the last year?
The main positive, I mean, I think what has made YouTube all worth it is meeting the people that I've met through YouTube. I mean, there's so many channels that I follow, and that the people are just the nicest people you ever want to meet. You didn't even realize there was those type of people in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I met you guys, and you guys treated me like you knew me for 20 years.
We did. You
It was
No, we wish
it was,
one of us wishes we knew you about 3 days.
yeah,
before
right,
that.
right. 3
Make
days
that
earlier.
two.
Please, how many good
Two
views
of
did
us.
you get off that video?
Three
could've got
three
just- I
days
just
and
could've
what,
got-
3,000 miles
I could have got just
sooner?
as many good views off that video with his dozer.
Exactly.
Well, I think
With a cab and air conditioning.
what I think is great about, like, man, when we live, like, you don't find a lot of people that are into what they do.
Yeah.
Everybody just his job,
Yeah.
Besides Ed, you guys are the only people I know I've ever met that are like what they do. Like, yes, they're doing that thing with Wade, taking the tour of the mill.
Yeah. We
Like,
we
just-
were into
Very,
him.
very passionate about
Yes,
it.
and
yes.
to me that is so it's cool.
Yeah, yeah. You don't see too many people that are that in love with what they're doing. And you can see he's not doing it for the money.
Yeah.
He is not. I mean, we all need money to live. But he's not doing it for the money. He's doing it for the satisfaction that he gets out of it.
Yeah.
And that is everything to me. I don't need to be rich. I think you can be rich in
Yeah.
what you love.
I have never in my whole life chased a dollar. Like, I chase money to make sure that the family's, got a nice place to live and
Right,
stuff like that.
yeah.
But I'm, like, my ultimate goal is never to say I'm a millionaire or
No.
I've got this status symbol. I just,
No.
my dad was a penny pincher and saved every dime for retirement and got killed in an accident and never made it.
Yeah.
So I try to find the
Yeah.
happy medium between spending a little bit as you go and enjoying life, but then still being responsible and making sure you got something for later.
Yeah.
And it's it's with that being said, I don't care if I got $1 million, $2 million, or $20 in the bank when I retire. As
Yeah.
long as I lived a good, happy life and
Yep.
enjoyed it, that's what.
I always tell my dad, I'm not looking for any type of inheritance. Like him and my mom on this earth mean more to me than anything. And if you guys pass this earth penniless, you win.
Yeah.
You earned it. It was yours.
Yep.
I call that a win.
Yeah.
So
Not
I was-
entitled to anything.
Yeah.
I would say a few years ago I was a money chaser, and
Yeah.
we worked for Pearson, man. And like I dreamed about having this car, 19 STI, and finally I went out and like the entire time I was a kid, that's all I could think about is having a race car. And I finally got that race car and didn't even care about it. And then
Didn't
right
make
from
him
that
happy.
day forward, could care less about money.
Yeah.
I learned that money don't buy happiness, man.
No.
Yeah.
But for a long time I could say that I was guilty of that.
Yeah.
For sure,
Yeah.
Like thinking that could like.
And that comes with
believing that.
youth, you know?
I've chased a few dollars every now and then. Leave the window down on the truck, get out, close.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've all been guilty of it at some point in our lives.
Yeah.
But I mean, being happy. I mean, I'm 50 years old now. I don't feel 50. I mean, when I get out of bed in the morning, I feel 50. But in my mind, I'm not 50. I still will work with, I'll outwork 20-year-olds every day, all day, because of my mind.
Right. Yeah. Your mental take on. So
Yeah.
as far as YouTube goes, going back to it real quick. I mean, I'm assuming overall it's been a good experience.
Yeah,
Like,
it's been great.
Like, what would your suggestion be if X or Z or Joe or Bob comes up to you and says, "Hey, I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel, doing the same thing you guys are doing," or what was your experience, or what would your advice be to them?
I would say, I mean, you're not going to lose anything trying it. I mean,
That's
other
one thing
than a
I've
bunch of
always
money.
pointed out. You can film with your phone as long as you got an email
Our
address.
first couple of videos, if you look at our channel and go all the way back to the beginning, it's iPhone videos.
Right.
And
Same on my channel.
yeah,
My best advice would be genuine.
yeah.
Then,
Be yourself.
Yeah.
Be yourself, and if you have a true passion for it, people are going to either watch it or they don't. But you don't have anything to lose, and the people you're going to meet through YouTube, I think, is going to be the most rewarding part of it all.
I'm always quick to point out that everybody gets something different out of YouTube.
Yeah.
We got friends, SOT Metalworks, which is Junior and Jamie, and they've been doing YouTube longer than me. Got 28, close to 3,000 subscribers.
Yeah, around there.
Like, YouTube statistics and AdSense revenue's never been a big thing for them.
Right.
But their business has greatly gained from it, from the amount of signs they sell and the community they got involved with. So YouTube has been very, very, very successful for them, but it's been in a different light than what it has been for me. Jason, I think YouTube's been successful for you for some of the connections you made, and I mean you're
some
almost
things that'll come to light probably in the near future.
Right.
Yeah.
But
YouTube's-
again, it's not like the success people see on YouTube as far as subscribers, views, and AdSense.
Yeah, I
money.
could give less credit.
That's not
Yeah.
that's not where YouTube's been successful for you. It's
No.
been successful in different places.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you've made so many friends through YouTube that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Absolutely.
And we're the same way. I mean, it's kind of like the same path.
Yeah.
I'd never be sitting here.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
Nor would we.
Still not quite sure how I'm sitting here, but I'm thankful to be sitting here.
And YouTube's been a completely different ride and success for me. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to have the views and the AdSense and some of that stuff, but that also allows me to share it with all my friends,
Yeah.
Captain Kleeman and
Yeah.
Aaron and you
Yeah.
guys, and that means more to me than anything.
Oh,
you
and,
know what I
and
mean?
it shows, Mike. I mean,
It means more to me to be able to ride your coattails.
Oh, God.
I don't take my job.
Hey,
Nope.
hey,
My
he
coat-
has a big coat.
yeah.
It's getting hard to drag. No, I'm kidding. But that's what's fun for me is the community aspect of it,
Yeah.
you know, and meeting people and, you know, getting relationships with them and it's so cool to see how people approach stuff differently and how like you go about doing something, or even like in different parts of the country how they go about doing stuff.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be exposed to that unless you know
Right.
could make those connections and do those things.
Yeah.
I think YouTube's incredible, man. You can learn
Yeah.
just about anything.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I've learned so much. Just to do a specific task in my shop. YouTube.
Yeah.
Turn to YouTube.
And it always blows everybody's mind. I told you guys about this. You know, my neighbor Logger Wade, he's done YouTube for 7, 8, 9 years. I lose track, a long time. And he's been on me to do YouTube. And I didn't watch a whole lot of YouTube until he finally convinced me to do one. The only reason I started watching YouTube was to kind of see like what makes a successful video, what don't, what's out there. And then
Right.
I told Wade, I said, I think I only subscribed to him like 2 years ago. You know? But that's always my biggest piece of advice to him too, is before you start filming and posting, like kind of everybody knows what their style is. And there's somebody on YouTube that may be doing something totally different than you, but what's their style? Like what makes those videos successful? What makes them flow? What makes them do this? What makes them do that? You know, it's just like anything else. If you want to be successful at it, you got to put the time and the research and the effort into it.
Yeah.
And if you do all that, and you can't gauge your success off subscribers and views, you know what I mean? There's it may go down a totally different route for you, and you got to be okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It so is what it is. But what's been your experience with YouTube down there, Mr. Man?
Hold on, before you get him going, I want to know, why has he been so quiet?
What everybody don't know during this podcast is he had to actually leave and rescue a van out of a lake, and he is now back.
So I'm back now, and
you
I'm
bring a
like,
camera?
I'm trying to think. Okay, I wonder if they talked about this. I wonder if they talked about that. You know, because, you know, me and Ed were talking, and it's like when I first got started in YouTube. To be honest, I was the same boat Michael was in, and this wasn't that long ago.
Right.
And I was like, I got on YouTube, but it was always if I was changing an alternator on a Mitsubishi or, you know, something that I
Right.
ain't never done before.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can set it up on the motor
Yeah.
and start doing it step by step,
Exactly.
which I thought was real neat.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got in the line of helping him and doing his line of work, which I was pretty green at it. And I actually got to know him and was helping him out a little bit before YouTube. But then once YouTube got going, you know, I can't explain his jobs.
Right.
The way he's doing it as good as what he could. I mean, I wouldn't even be close to doing it. But then getting into welding and stuff, I can explain it. And the thing is there's many different ways to weld. It's just which way you feel comfortable welding. Do you like to pull? Do you like to push? Do you drag? Do you hold it straight in? It's just, there's so many ways to do it that there's no, I can't sit here and people ask me why I weld this way or why I weld that way. And I love these questions. I love getting these questions because you can ask Michael, even on his channel, I love the comments. I always get on the comments.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things is actually getting with
Interaction,
people.
right.
Yeah, the interaction. But, you know, I'll get the questions all the time, and I tell them, hey, it's straight up, no wrong answer. People say, no, you have to do it this way, or no, you have to do it this way. There is no wrong way.
It's just what feels right
It's
to you.
what feels right for you.
Yeah.
Heli arc welding, once we get into doing a little bit more of that, then there's different styles you do, but people are like, no, you just got to keep pushing wire in and just run straight over it. No, it's not the only way. You can do the C's, you can do the circles, you can dab. There's so many different ways, but that's what I try to show is what I prefer to do in my videos, why I do it this way, or, you know, that's just my opinion. This is what I like to do. And some people take it and they love it. They respond back with me and say, yeah, we did it that way. It's awesome. I like doing it like this or whatever. So I really love the comments. I mean, that's one thing I interact with. It's like we did a live feed. It's real hard trying to stay caught up, and especially even on a computer screen, trying to stay caught up with the comments. I wish. So I always got to go back after it's over. We get done with the live
I
feed.
think Aaron reads every comment on my channel and his channel.
Yeah, I do.
Everyone.
Well, he was saying
which is
after the live feed
thousands.
last night, he went home and watched it.
Yeah, I did. I went home and then I was going back through it, and you know, I'll see which mic was popping, which mic was cracking, which ones were quiet. But you know, I go back to see if there's ways of improving or what we could do. But then I read the comments, get in the comments, and a lot of times I see when I go back on a live feed and I'm reading these comments, and it's something that I want to apologize to the people that we don't get to every comment, but at the same time, I'm hoping they understand that we can't answer every comment because it's like they all bombard us at once. You have 20 comments come in, and then you're trying to play cat and mouse, and you're trying to stay caught up. And if you went back to do every one of them questions that were asked, I don't think you could finish one in a night.
Yeah,
It's
you'd
hard
be
to
there the
do.
next morning. Yeah.
So
I think YouTube also has an issue, and I want to make sure everybody make this clear, that when people reply to a comment, we don't get a notification. Well, we do get a notification, but you actually have to go back to the video and go back to the comment.
It's not the same notification.
It's not the same notification of For people who don't do YouTube, we got what they call a YouTube Studio app.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes every video you have, and it takes every comment you got, and it puts it in order. So you can just go down through. It don't matter what video it is or what video is or where it's at in line. You just go down through there and answer comments. Well, if somebody replies to a comment, you actually have to go back and find that comment, and that's very difficult to do. Now, they do send you a notification if somebody replied to it, and it'll pop up on their phone. But if you don't click on it right then and there,
Yeah.
you'll never see it. And if I see one of those pop up, I usually try to click on it. But I know I miss a lot of replies because there's just no good way for us to go back to search and categorize that. I hope that's an improvement YouTube makes at some point.
Yeah, one thing that I try to do is my last 2 videos, I try to keep up with all the comments on them. And then that's it. I mean, anything from years ago or something like that.
See, I try and do every.
I still
don't
do.
care if you watch our first video, but
I still
we
get
have a young
comments on my
channel.
first video weekly.
Yeah, I mean, if it pops up
I've
on my phone,
I've commented on videos that you've done 2 years ago.
How you
and
do
you
it?
do,
Don't
you know, you at least like it.
yeah,
So I don't want to get too far off base here, but we got Officer Hoover sitting here with us, and he's got a totally different social media platform that's extremely successful, and you've got quite a bit of different experience with that. You want to elaborate on that any at all?
Yeah. Basically, with what I do in the department and everything, I'm not able to jump on the YouTube bandwagon, so to say. So if anybody's listened and been to the DOTB or Woodward and go, this is crap, I agree, it is. It's not the stuff that I want to be doing, but no, you go to, Facebook, and Facebook's been really successful for what I try to do and trying to cut through. And what a lot of people don't see is the red tape I've got to jump through and the daily things I've got to do, when you've got superiors got to answer to, and they're like, well, I'd much rather you describe this can as blue and this. Yeah, but I'm wanting to talk about the dent or why it's leaking, or, well, we'd rather you talk about this. And
What's so frustrating for me
getting that.
is from the outside looking in is you are trying to provide service for the country, basically.
Yeah.
Trying to provide a service for almost like the country. And the reason I wanted to bring you into this is you just get nailed with all these false, rude, uncalled for comments.
Yeah. And that's been the hardest part. I think me.
That's what's so difficult for me is I do know you.
Yeah. Well, and I hate to say, oh, just let it roll off your back. Well, I put so much effort into this, and I, just like what Ed's saying, getting so passionate about
Right.
the one thing, and having the thing. I'm just so passionate about what I'm doing. And it does, and there for a while I was getting to the point, I'd be in a bad mood, and a wife would be like, "I'm gonna have to take your phone away,"
Well, and I know you've called and reached out to me a few times,
and I appreciate that because I'm one of those I got to call and talk about it, and there's been plenty of times over Voxer I'm like, listen to this jerk, listen to the stupid crap he's saying if he only knew, and even then, I've reached out to some of these people and been like, do you even know what you're talking about? And then when I get the chance to explain to them a little bit and go, here's what I'm ultimately trying to do. Or I get it. 3 years ago in Nebraska, you had a DOT guy that was just crappy to you. I'm sorry that happened, but that's not me.
Exactly.
That's not what I'm trying to
You cannot
show.
say that every DOT officer is going to be the same way.
Exactly.
I've had
And-
some that have been great, and I've had others that haven't been.
not
great.
every YouTube operator
Exactly.
is Andrew.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, so you can't say that every person out there that does your job is gonna be one way.
Exactly,
You can't.
and I think, and you guys get that from the YouTube, whatever you're doing, they're well, you should dig a hole like this or do it like this, and it's like, But what I'm trying to show people is that, and I've had people hit me up on my thing. They're like, man, you're really raking dirt perfect through the coals, and it's like, no, he understands what I'm doing. Or like, standing here, hose is rubbing, chafing. That's just what I do. Where you're looking at poor Brandon and going, well, you could have done that 3 seconds faster and done this. I'm looking at it going, that's just what I do. That's
you
what
can't
I
not see it.
That's what I enjoy.
Yeah.
So when I get those inspectors they'll, oh, well, you know, this. And I'm like, yeah, but look at that. The tire is bald, you know, and yet you're picking over a damn marker light. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Think about what's going to impact the real outcome, the safety factor of things. And just trying to share that with the general public and get those guys that it's like, believe it or not, I'm on your side of things. I want you to go home safe at the end of the night. I want, you know, my family's out there, your family's out there, but it's like I'm not doing this to pick. And yeah, I agree. Yeah, the FMCSA's got a crap ton of things they could do better.
Yeah.
But we got to work with
it's
what
the
we
same-
One
it's
of
the
which
same for
they
everyone.
could do is putting that information out there,
Right.
which you're trying to do.
exactly, and then there's those days where I'm battling my side of the things, and I'm sure anybody that's really followed Facebook in the last 6 or 7 months, I've not really been able to do much. But when you get kicked in the gut a couple times, you kind of go, you know what? I don't want to approach that, so I'm just going to back off a little bit. But,
So, a couple
yeah.
things real quick. One, your Facebook page is the Indiana CVED, Commercial Motor Vehicle Enforcement.
Indiana State Police Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division.
And they're
I didn't get to pick the name. I was just told, okay, it's live there, and I'm like,
And there is a tremendous amount of good information on there.
yeah.
And if anybody messages that Facebook page, it goes directly
Right here.
directly to his
In
phone.
fact, I'm sure if you were watching this the whole time, I got a guy, you know, he's sending me pictures of a skidder like, hey, how's this look? Not good. Why? Well, look at if
But
you
how
know,
cool is that he can actually
But-
send it and get
Yeah, that's
you know, because I was sitting here the whole time drawing circles. I'm like, you got a bent link, and he's like, what? I don't see it. Which one? Well, this one, this one, this one. What do I need to do? Well, you need to get
made
a
him a
chain.
new chain.
Yeah, you know exactly. But that's what I really enjoy. You know, some people would be like, well, you're just being a jerk. But then again, the people that truly know me know that
Your intentions.
I'm not trying to be. I just want to see him do it right. Or there's been so many times I've had those roadside classrooms where, you know, and you were kind of talking about training the new. You know, I try to do the same thing roadside. I get a driver, and I've had the perfect situation. I go walking up and go, something's just not jiving. Hey, bud, have you ever had any training on this? And I had one guy go perfectly. I mean, he was dead straight honest. He goes, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. He goes, I've started driving 6 years ago when the economy tanked. I had to switch jobs, became a driver. I've been doing drive-in. And in the last 6 months, this local company hired me to haul heavy machines, and I have no clue. And you know, and there's two ways you can look at it. All right, I can write this guy a ticket. I could do this and do this, make my quota for the day and be done. But I'm like, no, we sit there for 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna
went
teach you.
over equipment and went through the cheat sheets that I made on how to improve equipment. I'm sure I've sent, you know, Mike the 3-page document.
Most
Because-
of it's my equipment circled what not to do.
Well, yeah, you know.
One thing
But-
I'd like to chime in quick.
Yeah.
I think I personally have a CDL. I had the opportunity to go and get tested for free. Somebody offered to teach me and not have to pay. And I think the best thing I could have done is go to school and learn the right laws and how to do it.
Which is what you did.
Well,
It was $5,000-$6,000, and it couldn't have been a better thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I had the same experience. You know, about a year and a half ago, I knew a guy that had a few trucks and was sitting in the shop one day talking and said, yeah, I'd love to get my CDL just so I could say I have been in your shoes. I've been behind the wheel. I sat there on the test. I was, you know, I got downgraded the CDL tester jumped my butt for not downshifting well enough and all that.
Right.
And, you know, I've been there.
Yeah.
I've got the Class A CDL to prove it. That's just how passionate I am about what I do, so that, you know, when I am talking to that and that's just what's frustrating is there's just so much more I wish I could do.
Yeah, hands get
I
tied.
gotta be honest, a lot of cops are very open to helping people with CD. Like our local state police, we needed help. We went down there, and that guy sat there and looked at our truck, told us what was wrong,
And put a sticker on it.
stood a sticker on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey,
didn't have to
I
do
got a
that.
truck that may have some stuff wrong that could use a sticker. Just saying.
Well, yeah.
The thing is, I really think
Big
that
orange
there's
sticker.
No, not the orange one. We need the
I
green
mean,
one.
that guy
the green
gave
one.
me his card. I carry it with me and said,
And-
if you ever have any problems, give me a call. That, I mean,
That's-
he's like, I'm here to
that's
help.
what I love to hand
I'm
out.
here to help.
There is no other officer I know that will spend the money on 1,000 business cards and plan to go through them.
Yeah, I mean, the DOT stuff, like, yeah, it's tough, but the thing is, how many people don't follow the laws? And that's why we have them.
In a perfect situation, like I was teasing Mike earlier about knowing the codes, but is that something you're required to know? When Mike gets
When you're
up,
friends
when
with
you
a
guys
DOT
get
officer,
up,
yes.
you're thinking about, okay, I got to go dig this job. I got to worry about, is my equipment oiled? Is something going to And then, surprise, let's check your load securement. And like what you were saying last night, I don't have time for this. I got concrete truck waiting on me.
Right,
So,
right.
there's a big difference in us as inspectors. We need to realize that you're not the Swifty truck driver that's hired to drive.
Right.
So there should be a different level of expectations
Yes.
there. Not saying that
Not
you
that we
should
have to
be
do it
able-
less.
that you can cut corners and all
Right.
that. I'm not saying that, but
Right.
but that that level of your responsibility and what you're thinking about that day is just totally different.
Yeah.
So we've got to approach that differently.
Yeah.
And I think and I'm sure if anybody's listened to the podcast when me and Mike had our first encounter, that was I could see he's trying to do things right. Let's capitalize on this.
I was putting effort forward and I had the right attitude.
Yeah.
That's what it
Right.
comes down to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
If you get pulled over by a cop, if you're doing something wrong, that cop knows it right off the bat.
Exactly.
I've
So-
never been pulled over by a cop and been hassled because I wasn't doing anything wrong.
I know I have, and that's a whole podcast.
But there was a whole bunch we could
Multiple
talk
times.
about.
And I'm sure Mike was a little sarcastic with y'all.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now, Mister, I'm going to rob this place now.
You know whose property you're on,
And
buddy?
then 20 minutes later, I'm in handcuffs going, what the hell? But no.
What happened?
I can tell you how I got a lot of, and I have the utmost respect for law enforcement. I don't want to get that, and you know that. I don't want to get that out there, but just in excavating and anything, there's good ones and there's bad ones. And
Absolutely.
I've had I wouldn't even call them bad cops. They were not bad cops, but they. I'm not even going to go there. That's a whole nother.
You just had a difference of opinion.
There's
Personality
mouthy ones,
clash.
there's quiet ones. I mean,
Yeah.
You are not the quiet one here.
I think Lager Wade must have wore you out last night.
Yeah.
I think that Phil hat's really
But
Yeah.
like a new man.
Yeah.
But
He's like,
anyways,
I gotta
to,
be more focused.
to wrap this one up, it's one question we always get all the time. We'll just go around the table here. Like, we all get the negative comments. Like, we'll start with Jason. Like, what's your take on them? How do you deal with them? How do you process them?
Negative comments? I screenshot them and send them via Voxer to Captain Kleeman, and we laugh about them.
Then Captain Kleeman goes on and comments on the comments.
I will vouch that's true because I've been involved in a few of those screenshots back and forth. I get them on a daily basis. I'm not going to pretend like I don't. And every once in a while, I get one that cuts pretty deep. That's like, that's a low blow, and it's a low blow. I still always usually respond to them, just mostly out of entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've done that before.
Yeah, I've seen him do that. Yeah.
Fortunately, I've got so many just awesome subscribers. Usually those guys get to them before I ever do.
Yeah.
And take care of it, and I just go through and heart them all, and that's just my way of saying thank you.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't want to sound cocky. I don't want to sound arrogant, but these comments, from what I show you on video, there is no way you can have that strong opinion about what I did because you don't have enough information.
Yeah.
So you're just making an absolute ass out of yourself for no particular reason. Just like the guy says, well, I can't believe you never grease your equipment. Who the hell wants to watch me grease my equipment? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's, you never checked oil. Do you want me? I mean, seriously, I'm not checking oil on.
Captain Kleeman always does.
Yeah, well, it's because Captain Cleveland only works 3 days a week and he spends 8 hours filming. But anyways, that's kind of my take on it. It's part of it. I'm not going to say it don't bother me, but it's entertainment. It's honestly entertainment because they are so far off base and so far out of check of reality so many times.
Yeah.
I just laugh at them. I mean, I just straight up laugh at them and move on. So you're probably received the most out of all of us. you got what, 45 or 50,000 people on your Facebook page, and you'll make a post and have 60 or 70 negative comments. Just bam.
And that, like I said, I am cursed with I kind of joke I'm such a big guy because I needed the big broad shoulders for all the crap that I gotta deal with. But no, and it's thankfully kind of like what you were saying. I've got enough positive people that are following me for the right reasons and know me for what I'm trying to do, that they tend to. And unfortunately, in a situation where there's plenty of times I would love to tell them just to F off, but I've got to be, and
you're a little bit of a disadvantage because you're actually the department's channel, not your personal channel.
And they're like, oh, anything you say or do will reflect it. But some of them just come right along with me. Come walk in my shoes for a day. Instead of saying I'm just some dumb revenuer that's out here just writing tickets, which that rubs my butt. Well, you're just a revenuer. You're just out there writing a ticket. You're just out there. It's like you've been here 2 seconds, you've made an opinion, and you've not even done any of your research. So until you research and find out who I am,
which goes back to there's no way your comment can have any validation because you have so little information to go off of.
Personally, I almost feel bad for people that can't sit there and have to write a negative comment. I mean.
Yeah, right.
Well, I feel sorry for a lot of them is because they have no idea the resource they have at their fingertips.
Yep.
And they just blow it off. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but I'm sure you guys are big enough now on YouTube. You've got your fair share of some negative comments.
that one video that Brandon put up of his weekend job was probably where I got hit.
Got your
hit
YouTube
the hardest.
awakening?
Yeah.
Well, and that's something that people, like, Ed's hard on me, but I mean, you can't see the real Ed in the eye through a YouTube video. You just can't,
Mm-hmm.
The things that that's done for me in my life, the person I became.
Yeah.
I mean, just because he says something to me to try to make me a better person.
Yeah.
Can't give him negative.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that's become anything in life has had that.
Oh, yes.
I mean, my father was hard as can be on me from the time I was little on up. But it made me the man I am today. My dad taught me how to fish and taught me how to fish well. And I every chance I get, I still to this day thank him for that. Yeah. Because, I wouldn't be the man I am today if it was not for my father.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for Ed holding me to a higher standard, I mean, you could ask my mom this. My mom will tell you that.
Yeah.
It would be that'd be a different place,
Yeah.
Wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of people in my life the same way. My grandpa was a big influence on me. He was self-employed and kind of a driving member of the community, and my parents as well. The work ethic of the family's been there from day one. So, but where are you at on? You're the comment king down there on the end.
I mean, look at this face. How can there be a negative comment?
Have you ever got a negative comment?
Yeah, I've had a few. I've had a few. Not near as bad. Whenever I want to see the bad comments about me, I go over to Dirt Perfect's page, start going through his comments, and I do find plenty on his page.
Yeah.
So usually I come back with a pretty good one for him.
Yeah.
I kind of play along, something to make me laugh.
Yeah.
And then I know I had one guy, he just kept commenting back, and then it just, I was getting a kick out of it. I was like,
it always cracks me up. I'll use Aaron for an example and my intro music for an example. Like Aaron will show back up in a video and there'll be like 1,000 comments. Oh, so glad Aaron's back. Enjoy the banter. You guys have an awesome dynamic. And, just boom, boom, boom. Or my new intro. Love the new intro. The new intro's awesome. Love the family. Love this. You always got one guy there somewhere in the middle.
I hate it.
Yeah.
You suck.
Right. Aaron talks too much. Get rid of him. New intro music is horrific.
So you have a diesel engine.
Now,
we need to get rid of that guy. Okay.
I'm like, do you not read? Like, do you not see you're the minority here?
Right. Yeah.
That's why I was showing respect, because I get negative comments like that, and I didn't want to, steal the show. I was going to stay over here and be quiet for a change. I hope everybody notices that.
Yeah. He's been being a good boy.
I don't know. Ursulot's really been adjusting his mic button down. He's probably been over there talking the whole time. He just turns it up.
Here.
Yeah.
But no, guys, enjoy the sit down talk. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. Ed and Brandon, thanks for traveling in.
Yeah.
And
For having us.
It's been a pleasure making you guys friends for sure.
yeah, we've enjoyed having you.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes.
Well,
You
see
ready
y'all here in Derby.
You ready to move down? You see what happened first
Well,
Pennsylvania
see,
we had?
you know what? We've been looking around. There's like 2 cell towers in this entire area, so we go broke quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna
yeah.
say, I got a long story about that. State police.
Going around the table real quick, just making sure everybody knows, we got Aaron Boone, man behind the scenes there on the end, Ed and Brandon, Full Tilt Grading, Officer Hoover. You're on YouTube, DLT Bear Woodworking, but also on Facebook with the Indiana CVED page. Myself, Dirt Perfect, and Mr. Works a Lot. So hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thanks for watching,
Later,
guys.
guys.